Hey everyone, just wanted to give you guys an update. I have not disappeared. Just been very, I don't know, in a funk, I guess. So this time of year is normally when I kind of turn more inward, get very deep down to the bone, like really deep in my shadow working. And so sometimes that can be a time when I'm just like, okay, hey, don't talk to people, don't do things. So I'm taking today, being homesick, the opportunity. I have like the cold flu type things, and Dayquil kind of has me having some energies right now. Just to kind of talk a little bit about this season and things I'm doing in my craft and things that I have done around this time since being open and active. So, it is officially Yule season, so Yule is on, basically it's on the same day as Christmas. So Christmas and Yule, same thing. Just depends on your religion. Now, just because you quote unquote celebrate Yule does not mean that you don't celebrate Christmas. It just depends on your personal beliefs, your upbringings, because keep in mind that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Christmas, they associate it with the Christian holiday. But Christmas is a time of giving and kind of more of like a hallmark holiday, because a lot of people don't necessarily do the religious aspects of it. So that is my definition of Christmas for purposes of these videos. But anywho, back to main note of today. So this is wintertime. It is when it is cold. If you live in northern states, you guys have snow. It's very dark. It's very cold. So that's kind of where this aspect of turning inward, this time of year where shadow work is done, because it's a time of like traditionally of like depression. Hence kind of that term seasonal depression that we often hear when it comes to the holidays, whether it's because it's cold, you can't go outside, you're feeling kind of icky like me, or you just physically are just in that category of like, fuck, it's the holidays, I have to hustle hard at work, I have to make this money, I have to buy Christmas. So that alone, finances, causes seasonal depression. And I use quotations because depression is a real thing, seasonal depression is a real thing, but this is kind of that, like, I'm stamping a term on it because it's what society is pressuring, of what that definition should be. Depression is different and looks different for everybody. Anywho, that's a whole nother conversation, and I say those things because I don't want anybody to think that I'm pushing it off, but that I know everything. And this is just kind of that fine line of take what you want, leave what you will type of situation, I guess. Looking too deep into it. But anywho, back to this time of year. Like I said, I work really heavily on shadow work, kind of doing some inner working, seeing where I had my biggest flaws of the year, or what areas I still need to work on, within like communications, within my career, within my relationships, within my spirituality. And spirituality is a big one because everybody's beliefs shift over time. It's kind of like, think of it like your interest. One minute you can be interested in the color blue, and then months down the road be like, blue? No, it's red. So kind of that concept of things do change, whether it's over long periods or short periods. So this is that time where I take that, blue-red concept, and I look deep within, and I look in those areas of, okay, well, hey, maybe you should do some of the blue things because you're not quite ready for red, type of thing. And that's kind of probably sounds like a really bad example using colors, but for example, this is kind of have been my year of exploring what I believe, who I quote unquote like believe in, who speaks to me, what spirits are there, like that deep spiritual connection, that connection to the divine. And I'm at a place where, compared to when I first, went down this path, I was all about Freya. Freya helped me through so much, and she is, no pun intended, she's a goddess for all of the help that she did for me. How far I came with her help, her guidance, her protection. And then I look where I'm at now, and it's more of a water-based spirituality. And the person that I have been reaching out to and researching and speaking of the most, that has been touching to me now, is Medusa. And so that is a big change between Freya and Medusa in such a short period of time. And this is that time of year where I'm taking, okay, hey, I hear you, I am taking these steps, and what do we need to do to move forward? So that's like the spirituality side of what's happening in my life now. Communication, relationship wise, things can always improve, no matter if it's with a coworker, with your partner, your family, whomever. And Scorpio energy, 100%, my birth chart is dominated by it. So again, the whole water aspect of my spirituality is making sense. But Scorpios are naturally spicy, we're fiery, and so that can get me in a lot of trouble when it comes to trying to communicate with others. Sometimes I can control my words but not my face, and it's hard. So always finding ways to improve on those flaws I know that I have, that if they slip up, all I can do is be like, hey man, I apologize, I'm working on it. And when you notice that you did wrong and you take that accountability, that also helps improve, those relationships, that communication, which is something that I am working really hard on, not, personal and like within this spiritual journey, and doing those deep workings of shadow work, looking at, basically your flaws, things that you've pushed under, hey, this situation keeps happening to me, let's take a deeper look, and you'll be surprised what you find out when you do these types of things. And people say it all the time, shadow work. Sorry, somebody was calling. But people talk about it all the time, about how doing shadow work and it's going to heal you, and it's supposed to be like this awakening, and they're not wrong. But shadow work also, for me, I guess, comes in stages, because you have your super deep shadow work, that the type of workings that people are like, hey, don't do this alone. And then you have this more so of the quote unquote superficial, which are the things that you can do things to work on your own. You can make those tools. It makes you aware of, hey, these issues are going on, and then to kind of determine on if it's something you try working for yourself, finding different tools, talking to people, etc. And so you kind of have that deep layer and that superficial layer. And again, this is kind of a weird definition of it, but that's kind of like my take on that. And let's get back some. There's a little spider trying to get down. I don't want to scare it, because I'm sitting outside. And so Daddy Log Legs just fell out of the tree, so giving him his space. And then I just had a brain frog. Like, I forgot what I was saying. I did shadow work, spiritual communication, relationships. Anywho, you get the gist of that. But and then this is also like that time of I don't want to say thanks because that's more so like Thanksgiving, but this is that time to be grateful because this season has been 1000% marketed as buying things, giving people gifts, expensive gifts, like go broke so your family thinks that you're cool and then pay for it for the rest of the year. That kind of mindset. And although I love this time of year, I love the Christmas spirit, I love seeing all of the lights, the crafts, that are, like more so like Santa Claus, snowflakes, snowmen, like that traditional, like quote unquote, Hallmark Christmas. This is also the time where like churches will decorate. And although I personally do not attend church and I don't necessarily understand some of the teachings at these different churches, it always fascinates me and it makes me happy to see that they'll have like their cross lit up, they'll have some type of interpretation of like the three kings and baby Jesus, like just that initial like, hey, we understand that this is a fun festive time, but here's kind of our beliefs. And that's just that openness to believing in religion. And as we're starting to move into like a new era, what everybody keeps saying, I feel like more and more of the spiritual, witchy, pagan community, however you identify, is starting to kind of come out of the woodworks a little bit. And it is making this type of spiritual practice more known. Of like, you'll see all the memes of, oh, you're decorating a Christmas tree, that's pagan. So yes, it's funny, but it's also kind of a real dig. And it is also that, hey, open your eyes that we are not so different. Like, we do the same things. We just, believe in different deities or something, something along those lines. So it's very fascinating. And there's that hopefulness from, my side, that community, that coexist community, of bringing these things together and making it known that, hey, we can all have our own beliefs. We can all celebrate the quote-unquote mundane holidays together, and still coexist, have this beautiful life, and move into this new year of new greatness together. And that's kind of, I guess, what some people call my unrealistic view of the world, because we all know that those types of things aren't completely happening quite yet. They're happening in like small pockets. But that concept of like community and of growth, and celebration, that is also what this time of year is for me within my practice. Because you want to open up, you want to celebrate, you want to feel good, yes, but you don't want to walk this road alone, because no matter how much you want to be alone, you always are going to need that helping hand. You can't be alone all the time. And this time of year can trick you into thinking that you have to be a hermit, you have to be alone, you push it down, you hold it in, you hold it in the back of your closet until the day that you die, type of thing. And that's what the like depression era of this time of year brings. And that's what a lot of people follow in their personal beliefs. And I want to, and I used to, I guess you could say I used to, and I find myself falling into that, but I have really kind of tried to expand and do more. And I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent, may not have even started with finished with what I started talking about, but it is okay. I'm sick, sorry, just bear with me. I probably shouldn't be outside recording this because, yeah, You can tell, you can hear it. But things that people do around this time of year too, like I talked about the Christmas tree. So, decorating the Christmas tree, people will make like little snowflakes, little different things, decorate their doors. So a lot of like handcrafting is common around this time of year. Something that I personally like to do around this time of year, when able, because it can be hard pending situations, those types of things. I like to have a Yule log, whether it is a real one or like a symbolic one. And that is to bring in the warmth, bring in the spirit of this season, and to help celebrate that beginning of the witch's new year. Because if you remember, or however you practice, technically the witch's new year has already started. So once Christmas and the quote unquote new year of the calendar comes around, witches have already begun their year. We have already begun to explore. I guess you can say we've kind of been prepared for 2026 or 2030, whatever year we're going into at the time. And so we've kind of already had like this layout. But doing these types of crafting brings in wealth. They bring in protection, whatever you want to weave into them. Depending what you believe, it will also keep away, unwanted spirits during this time of year, or it will bring in, the ancestors that you want to celebrate with. Again, it just kind of depends on your personal beliefs. The crafting that I do a lot this time is for mainly for protection and guidance, because you can never ask for too much protection or too much guidance, and the reason why I say that is life happens, and somebody can give you advice and you're like, yeah, man, that totally makes sense, and then still go out and make the same mistakes, and you're like, well, what the hell? And if you keep getting that advice, that help, kind of like that mentor, it's going to help you in the long run, with just anything, no matter spiritual or mundane. And yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. I think my sicky brain is getting to me. I will try to make a part 2 of this when I'm feeling a little bit better, because I feel like I can make better rational decisions. But I am starting to get a little cold, and being outside and a little sniffy, so I need to bring myself back into the warmth of my bed and take a nap. But like I said, stay tuned. I will make a part 2 to finish my random thoughts on this season and what I'm doing in my practice.